Marcus Laurent thought celebrating his $50 million merger on a luxury yacht with his mistress would be the crowning moment of his carefully constructed empire, until the captain steering the ship turned out to be Amara, the fiancée he'd abandoned 5 years ago with nothing but a cowardly text message. But the real shock wasn't seeing the woman whose heart he'd shattered now, commanding an 80-foot vessel with ice in her veins. It was the two 4-year-old twins strapped into the bridge's corner playpen, staring back at him with his own unmistakable blue eyes. Marcus had blocked Amara so completely that he never knew she'd been pregnant, never knew he'd become a father, never knew that while he was building his tech empire, she was raising their children alone on the open sea. Now trapped together for 10 days with nowhere to run, Marcus would have to face the family he threw away, the mistress who suddenly saw him clearly, and the mother who'd spent years perfecting the art of moving forward without him. The question wasn't whether Marcus could win back what he'd lost. It was whether a man who'd chosen success over love could transform into the father and partner they deserved before the yacht docked and his second chance sailed away forever. Subscribe right now and comment where you're watching from, because this story of betrayal, redemption, and the courage to choose love over everything is about to get messier than a storm at sea. The Mediterranean sun beat down on Monaco's harbour, turning the water into a sheet of hammered gold. Marcus Laurent stood on the dock, arms spread wide like a man who'd conquered the world, which, in a way, he had. $50 million. A deal that would cement his tech company's dominance and merge it with Morrison Ventures, the venture capital giant that happened to be run by his girlfriend's father. "This beauty sleeps 12, full crew, gourmet chef," Marcus said, gesturing toward the gleaming yacht. "We've earned this." Chelsea tilted her phone, capturing the perfect angle of her cheekbone against the yacht's white hull. "It's gorgeous. Dad said Captain Santos runs the tightest ship in the Med." Diane Laurent adjusted her sunglasses, pearl earrings catching the light. "I should hope so, given what we're paying." A crew member in crisp whites appeared, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Laurent, we're ready for you. Captain Santos and his co-captain will greet you on deck." They followed him up the gangway, shoes clicking on polished teak. Marcus breathed in salt air and success, one hand on Chelsea's lower back. The champagne was already waiting, crystal flutes on a silver tray, condensation beading in the heat. "To new beginnings," Marcus said, raising his glass. The cork had barely popped when a figure emerged from the bridge. She wore a white captain's uniform, brass buttons gleaming, dark hair pulled back in a severe bun, professional, commanding, utterly composed. Until she saw him. The glass slipped from Marcus's fingers. Crystal exploded across the deck, champagne spreading in a golden pool. Amara Hayes stood frozen in the companionway, her face cycling through shock, recognition, and something that looked like physical pain before smoothing into blank professionalism. Her chest rose once, sharply, like she'd been punched. "Welcome aboard the Serendipity." Her voice could have frozen the Mediterranean. "I'm Captain Hayes. We depart in 30 minutes. She turned before Marcus could find his voice, disappearing back into the bridge. Her spine was steel, her shoulders locked. "Jesus, Marcus." Chelsea grabbed his arm, eyes sharp. "What the hell was that? Do you know her?" His mouth wouldn't work properly. Blood roared in his ears. Diane glanced up from her phone, irritated. Could someone clean this mess? And perhaps the staff could work on their manners. Amara made it to her quarters before the shaking started. She locked the door, pressed her back against it, and let out a breath that felt like it had been trapped in her lungs for 5 years. Her hands trembled as she pulled out her phone. The lock screen glowed, Amara sandwiched between two 4-year-olds with gap-toothed grins. Lila's hand was tangled in Noah's hair. Both of them had Marcus's blue eyes staring out from brown skin, his sharp cheekbones softened by her features. She typed quickly, "It's him, Marcus is the charter. I can't do this." Ray's response came before she could spiral. "Yes, you can. Best captain I've got. Stay professional. Avoid him. 10 days will pass. I'm here." Amara moved to the small sink, splashed cold water on her face. In the adjacent nursery, she could hear the twins' quiet breathing through the monitor. They'd gone down for their nap 20 minutes ago. Thank God. She studied herself in the mirror. Captain's uniform. Her own command. 5 years of clawing her way up from deckhand to this. Marcus Laurent had walked away once. He didn't get to wreck her twice. The yacht's engines thrummed beneath their feet as the Serendipity cut through turquoise water. Monaco had become a glittering memory on the horizon, replaced by the rugged coastline of the French Riviera. Marcus sat rigid in the main salon, cream leather cool against his back. Panoramic windows framed the Mediterranean, but he couldn't focus on the view. Chelsea's knee pressed against his, a silent question he couldn't answer. Diane perched near the windows, phone glowing in her manicured hands. The door opened. Captain Ray Santos entered, weathered face, silver threading his black hair, eyes that had seen every kind of storm. He carried authority the way some men carried weight. "Good afternoon, I'm Captain Santos, owner and senior captain of the Serendipity." His voice was warm gravel. "We'll cover basic safety protocols. Life jackets are located here, here, and here." He pointed to panels along the walls. "In the unlikely event of man overboard, the alarm sounds like this." A brief demonstration. "Emergency procedures are posted in each cabin." Marcus tried to listen, failed. "Now I'll introduce our co-captain, who handles daily operations and navigation." Ray gestured toward the door. "Captain Amara Hayes." She entered with a tablet, uniform crisp as paper. Professional, untouchable. She didn't look at Marcus once. "Communication procedures are simple," Amara said. "Bridge radio is channel 16. Restricted areas include crew quarters, engine room, and the bridge unless invited. We expect respectful behavior toward all staff." Her voice was steady, cold, nothing like the woman who used to laugh against his chest. Chelsea leaned close. "She seems intense." The salon door burst open. 2 small tornadoes exploded into the room, all dark curls and bright laughter. The girl wore a yellow sundress. The boy had chocolate smeared on his chin. "Mama!" The girl launched herself forward. "Uncle Ray said we could have cookies." Time stopped. Amara's mask shattered. She dropped into a crouch, arms opening. "After the meeting, baby." Her voice transformed. Soft, tender, utterly different. "Go back to Maria, please." A crew member appeared, apologetic. "Sorry, Captain. They just woke up." But Marcus wasn't listening. He was staring at the children, 4 years old maybe. Brown skin, dark curls, laughing eyes that were blue, striking blue. Laurent blue, his mother's eyes, his eyes. The boy met his gaze for a heartbeat before Maria shepherded them out. The door closed. Amara straightened, professional mask slamming back into place. Marcus couldn't breathe. 5 years since he left. These kids were 4, which meant she was pregnant when he... The room tilted. "As I was saying," Amara's voice came from underwater, "meal times are posted in your cabins. We'll reach Portofino by evening." Chelsea's hand found his arm. "Marcus?" He couldn't answer. Ray stepped forward as the briefing ended. "Captain Hayes's children are aboard this charter. They're well behaved and won't interfere with your experience." A pause. Waited. "But they are part of our crew family." The warning was clear. Passengers dispersed. Marcus stood, legs unsteady, moving toward Amara. Ray materialized between them like a wall. "Captain Hayes has work to do." Pleasant tone, iron underneath. "If you have questions about the yacht, I'm available." Marcus retreated. Their cabin was all polished wood and ocean views. Chelsea stood at the window, arms crossed. "You're scaring me." She turned. "What's going on? Who is she?" Marcus sat, head dropping into his hands. "We were engaged 5 years ago. I ended it badly." "How badly?" "I texted her from London, blocked her number, never spoke to her again." Chelsea's sharp inhale cut the air. "And those kids?" Marcus looked up. His face felt like broken glass. "I think they're mine." Chelsea stared. Then she walked onto the deck, sliding the door shut behind her. Marcus sat alone with what he'd done. The sun melted into the Mediterranean, turning the water to molten copper. Amara descended from the bridge, her shift finally over. Every muscle ached, not from work, but from holding herself together. Marcus materialized at the bottom of the stairs. "Amara, please, we need to talk." She moved to step around him. "I'm off duty, I have nothing to say to you." He shifted, blocking her path, not threatening, desperate. "Are they mine? Those kids, Lila and Noah, are they mine?" The careful control she'd maintained all day fractured. "Get out of my way, Marcus. Not until you answer me." Something inside her snapped. She shoved him backward, hard enough that he stumbled. "Yes." Her voice was low, fierce. "They're yours. Satisfied?" The color drained from his face. He looked like she'd struck him. "Why didn't you tell me?" A bitter laugh escaped her. "I tried, I called, I texted, I emailed. You blocked me. You made it very clear you wanted nothing to do with me." "I didn't know." His voice broke. "Amara, I swear I didn't know you were pregnant." She studied him. saw genuine shock written across his features. It didn't matter. You made a choice. You chose your company over us, over me. She turned toward the stairs. I'm not letting you break my children the way you broke me. His hand caught her arm, gentle. Please, let me I want to know them. I want to be their father. She jerked away. You don't get that choice anymore. You forfeited it 5 years ago. Everything all right, Captain Hayes? Ray stood at the top of the stairs, his presence solid and protective. Amara's throat tightened. Yes, Captain Santos. Mr. Laurent was just leaving. Marcus looked between them, outmatched, and retreated. Dinner passed in a blur. Marcus pushed food around his plate, while Chelsea watched him with careful eyes. Diane complained about the Wi-Fi signal. The crew served poached sea bass that might as well have been cardboard. Later, Marcus stood on the stern deck. Antibes glittered across the dark water like scattered diamonds. Somewhere below, children's laughter drifted up, high and bright, and utterly foreign to him. His children, laughing without him. Chelsea appeared beside him, shawl wrapped against the evening breeze. Hours of silence had settled between them. Are you going to tell me the whole story, or do I have to guess? So he did. Every shameful detail spilled out. Meeting Amara in grad school, falling stupidly in love, proposing on a beach at midnight. The startup success that devoured everything. The growing panic as she talked about wedding dates and future children. The coward's exit via text message. Blocking her number because he couldn't face what he'd done. Chelsea listened without interruption. Do you still love her? The answer came without hesitation. I never stopped. I just convinced myself I didn't. Dawn broke over the Mediterranean in shades of pearl and rose. Marcus stood on deck, coffee cooling in his hand, watching colors bloom across the horizon. He hadn't slept. Small feet pattered across the teak. Lila appeared, dolphin pajamas bright against the early light, dragging a stuffed turtle by one flipper. She stopped when she saw him, head tilted with pure curiosity. Who are you? His heart seized. I'm Marcus. I'm a passenger. Who are you? I'm Lila. She pointed toward the bridge where Amara moved behind glass, checking instruments. That's my mama. She's the captain. She drives the whole boat. Fierce pride rang in every word. Noah emerged from the stairs, more cautious, immediately taking his sister's hand. Mama said not to bother the passengers. Lila waved this away. Are you sad? You look sad. Marcus opened his mouth. No sound came out. Movement on the bridge. Amara had spotted them. She hurried down the stairs, her expression stricken. Lila, Noah, what did I say about the passenger deck before breakfast? She tried for stern. Landed on, worried. She scooped both children up, barely managing their combined weight, and looked at Marcus with something close to fear. Not fear of him, fear of what this proximity meant. Marcus stood slowly, palms open. They're beautiful, Amara. They're perfect. His voice splintered on the last word. Her expression turned to stone. Stay away from them, Marcus, I mean it. She turned toward crew quarters, but Lila called back over her shoulder. Bye, sad man. I hope you feel better. The innocence of it shattered him. Mid-morning, the yacht carved through cobalt water toward the Italian coast. Chelsea found Marcus on the bow, still staring at the bridge where Amara moved between instruments, while the twins played in their corner, a small space Ray had equipped with books and soft toys years ago. Chelsea sat, said nothing. Finally, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Are you in love with her? Marcus nodded miserably. I think I've been in love with her the entire 5 years. I just ran from it. Chelsea absorbed this. Instead of anger, something like relief washed through her. I knew something was off. We've been together 6 months, and you've never really been with me, have you? Marcus looked at her. She deserved honesty. No, I'm sorry. I thought I could move forward, but I was just running in place. Chelsea stood, smoothing her sundress. I'm not going to make a scene. We're stuck on this boat for 10 more days, but when we get back, we're done. She paused. And Marcus, you need to figure out what you actually want and stop hurting people by being a coward. She walked away with more dignity than he deserved. Late afternoon, second day at sea. The sky turned the color of bruises. Captain Ray stood beside Amara on the bridge, both watching the horizon where black clouds swallowed the sun. The barometer had dropped faster than the forecast predicted. We can make Portofino in 3 hours, Amara said, or ride it out. Ray studied the approaching wall of weather. Serendipity's handled worse. We ride it out. Amara nodded, already reaching for the radio. Maria, I need you to take Lila and Noah to your cabin. Now, keep them secured. Maria's voice crackled back. Copy that, Captain. Below deck, passengers received instructions to remain in their cabins. Diane's irritation carried through the walls. Something about ruined dinner plans. Chelsea settled with a book, unbothered. Marcus stood at his porthole watching waves build, restlessness crawling under his skin. The storm hit like a fist. The yacht pitched hard. Rain lashed horizontal across the deck. Marcus watched crew members secure equipment, their movements practiced and efficient. Through the rain, he spotted Amara on the exterior bridge deck, fighting with a loose sail line that whipped like a snake. He made a choice, probably a stupid one. The main deck was chaos when he emerged. Wind screaming, water everywhere. He climbed the exterior stairs toward Amara, thinking he could help somehow, thinking. A massive wave slammed into the hull. The yacht rolled hard. Marcus's feet left the deck. He slid toward the railing, fingers scrabbling for purchase on wet metal, certain he was going over. A hand seized his shirt collar. Amara had him, braced against the bridge rail, her entire body locked against his weight. She hauled him backward with shocking strength, screaming over the wind. "What the hell are you doing?" They collapsed together against the bridge wall, both gasping, soaked through. Her hand still gripped his shirt. Their faces were inches apart, rain streaming between them. Ray appeared, fury written across his weathered face. He secured the loose line with 3 efficient movements, then grabbed them both. "Inside! Now!" Amara dragged Marcus into the bridge. "Are you trying to die? You could have gone overboard." Marcus couldn't speak, couldn't breathe right. "I thought I could help. You're a passenger. Stay below." The storm passed within the hour, leaving spectacular wreckage of clouds and a sunset that looked like fire. Evening. Damage minimal. Broken glasses. Scattered cushions. The crew moved through cleanup, while passengers emerged, pale and shaken. Marcus found Amara alone in the bridge. She'd changed into dry clothes, her hair loose around her shoulders as she checked instruments with steady hands. "Thank you for saving me." She didn't look at him. "I'd have done it for anyone." "I know. That's what makes you—" He stopped. Amara finally turned. "Makes me what?" Marcus searched for words that wouldn't break against her walls. "Better than me. You show up. You do what's right, even when it's hard. I ran. I've been running my whole life." Her expression softened, barely, infinitesimally. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I need you to know I see it now. I see what I threw away, and I see what you've built without me, and you're incredible, Amara." She looked away, dangerous emotions rising in her throat. "Don't. You don't get to say things like that." But her voice wavered. Morning of day 3. Portofino Harbor glistened under clear skies. Yesterday's storm scrubbed away. Diane and Chelsea had departed for town, Diane chasing Wi-Fi and Chelsea needing distance. Marcus remained aboard, claiming nausea. The truth sat heavier. He couldn't stop seeing Amara's face when she'd grabbed him, couldn't stop feeling her hands fisted in his shirt as the yacht rolled. He stood on the aft deck nursing cold coffee when small feet pattered across teak. Lila appeared first, Noah trailing behind. They carried crayons and paper. Maria had set them up at the crew table with coloring supplies while Amara handled harbor logistics. Lila tilted her head, studying him. "You're the sad man again." Marcus attempted a smile. "I guess I am. Do you like drawing?" Before he could answer, she plopped down at the table across from him. Noah followed, cautious but curious. "I'm drawing dolphins." Lila grabbed a blue crayon with authority. "I saw 3 yesterday. Mama said they were playing." Marcus sat slowly, afraid sudden movement might break whatever spell made them unafraid. "What else do you like?" "Everything. Boats and turtles and Uncle Ray's songs. And when Mama lets us steer—" She attacked her paper with enthusiastic strokes. "What do you like?" The question gutted him. What did he like? Board meetings? Investor calls? None of it seemed worth mentioning. "I like talking to you." Lila beamed. Noah pushed a blank page toward Marcus. "You can draw too." "I'm not very good." "That's okay. Practice makes better, Mama says." Marcus picked up a crayon. When had he last held one? And attempted a clumsy boat. Lila leaned over, giggling. "That's terrible." "Lila." Noah frowned at his sister. "Be nice." "I'm helping." She grabbed the paper, adding elaborate waves and fish with confident strokes. When finished, she signed her name carefully, the L backward, the A triumphant. "This is for you, because you're sad and you need it." Marcus took the drawing like it might shatter. "Thank you." Noah showed him a careful picture, the yacht with a rainbow arching overhead. "Mama says rainbows come after storms." "Your mama is very smart." "The smartest." Lila returned to her dolphins. She knows everything about oceans and fish and navigation, and when it's bedtime, even when we say it's not. Marcus's throat closed. 4 years of this. 4 years of bedtimes and rainbows and backward letters. Above on the bridge, Amara watched through the window. Ray joined her, following her gaze. Can't keep them apart forever. Ship's too small. I can try. Ray shook his head. Question is, should you? Afternoon. Marcus sat in his cabin, staring at Lila's drawing when Chelsea entered. She'd been in town thinking. Now she sat across from him with uncharacteristic seriousness. I'm leaving you. Marcus looked up. Not leaving the yacht. We're literally in the middle of the ocean. But when we dock in Monaco, we're done. He nodded. I know, I'm sorry. Chelsea softened. I'm not even angry anymore. Honestly, I feel sorry for you. She leaned forward. You have a chance to fix something real, Marcus. Those kids are amazing. That woman is extraordinary. If you can't see what's right in front of you, you're more lost than I thought. She left him alone with a 4-year-old's crayon drawing and the wreckage of his choices. Evening of day 3. Portofino's harbour lights reflected off the main salon's windows as formal dinner was served. Seared branzino, roasted vegetables, wine that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Ray had joined the passengers tonight, claiming owner's privilege. He sat at the head of the table in his dress uniform, quiet but watchful. Diane held court, gesturing with her wineglass as she recounted a recent gallery opening in Milan. The key to luxury travel is consistency of experience. You simply cannot compromise on standards. She turned to Ray with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. How wonderful it must be to have your staff bring their children to work. So modern. The words dripped condescension. Ray's jaw tightened. He set down his fork with deliberate care. Marcus, who'd been pushing food around his plate in silence, finally spoke. Those children are my children, Mother. Lila and Noah are your grandchildren. Diane's laugh came automatically. Marcus, really? I'm not joking. The table went silent. Even the crew member refilling water glasses froze. Diane's smile died. What are you talking about? Amara and I were engaged 5 years ago. I ended it when my company took off. Marcus's voice was flat, factual. She was pregnant. I didn't know until 2 days ago. Diane's face cycled through expressions too quickly. Shock, disbelief, dawning horror. Chelsea watched with grim satisfaction. At least she wasn't the only one blindsided. Ray stood abruptly, his chair scraping. I think it's time for me to check on evening watch. He left before anyone could respond, giving them privacy for the explosion building in Diane's silence. Diane set down her glass before she dropped it. You have children. You've had children for 4 years and didn't tell me. I didn't know, Mother. I blocked Amara completely. She tried to tell me. Diane pressed fingers to her temple. That woman, Amara, she's been raising my grandchildren and I didn't... Why didn't she... Marcus laughed bitterly. Why didn't she track down the man who abandoned her to tell him she's raising his kids? Can't imagine. Diane flinched. Her perfectly composed world was cracking apart, revealing something ugly underneath. Years of assumptions, casual cruelties, values that suddenly felt hollow. Those beautiful children she'd barely noticed were hers, her grandchildren. And the woman she'd dismissed as the help had been surviving alone while Diane pushed Marcus to work harder, achieve more, run faster. The guilt arrived like a physical blow. I called her unprofessional. Diane's whisper was horrified. At dinner, I said, those were my grandchildren. Marcus said nothing. What was there to say? Chelsea stood, excusing herself quietly. This implosion belonged to the Lawrence alone. Late that night, Diane knocked on the crew quarters door. Maria answered, protective. Mrs. Laurent, this isn't passenger area. I need to see Captain Hayes, please. Amara appeared behind Maria, still in work clothes, exhaustion written across her face. Mrs. Laurent, it's late. Is there a problem with your cabin? Diane's composure shattered. I didn't know about the children, about you and Marcus. The words tumbled out. I said terrible things. I called you. She couldn't finish. Tears streamed down her carefully made-up face, cutting through foundation. They're my grandchildren, and I didn't even... Amara didn't soften completely, but she wasn't cruel. You didn't know because your son never told you. That's between you and Marcus. Diane nodded, wiping her eyes with shaking hands. Could I meet them? Properly? Amara hesitated. Tomorrow, during their breakfast. Her voice held warning. But, Mrs. Laurent, they don't know Marcus is their father yet. Don't confuse them. Morning of day 4. Portofino's harbour had fallen behind them, replaced by the dramatic cliffs of Cinque Terre rising from impossibly blue water. Diane had been awake since dawn. She'd changed outfits 3 times. Too formal, too casual, too trying hard. Settled on white linen pants and a soft blue sweater. Understated, approachable as a woman who'd spent 60 years in country clubs could manage. When Amara appeared on the main deck with the twins, Diane's breath caught. Lila wore a yellow sundress, her curls in 2 puffs. Noah had on shorts and a shirt with a cartoon whale. They were so small, so perfect. Amara's expression was guarded. 15 minutes, they need breakfast. Diane nodded, not trusting her voice. She crouched as the twins approached, bringing herself to their eye level. Hello, Lila. Hello, Noah. I'm Diane. Lila tilted her head, studying this fancy lady with open curiosity. You're very pretty. Are you a princess? The laugh that escaped Diane was wet, unsteady. No, sweetheart. I'm your... She looked to Amara. Permission. Amara gave the smallest nod. I'm your grandmother. Noah processed this information with serious concentration. Like grandma in the books. Yes, exactly like that. We don't have a grandma, Lila announced. Just Mama and Uncle Ray and Maria and the crew people. Each word was a knife. Well, now you do. Diane's voice broke. Now you have me. The morning unfolded like something precious and fragile. Diane sat with the twins at the deck table, listening to their chatter with the intensity of someone memorizing scripture. She learned that Lila wanted to be a boat captain, that Noah could recite an entire book about humpback whales, that their favorite food was pasta with butter, and their least favorite was the green things Maria tries to hide in rice. Marcus watched from the bow, afraid to intrude, afraid of what his presence might break. Chelsea stood near the salon windows, observing the whole scene. Something in her chest ached. This was what real love looked like, complicated and messy and worth every broken piece. Around mid-morning, Diane was reading from a picture book she'd found in the yacht's small library. Something about a turtle who learned to swim. Lila noticed Marcus by the rail. She scrambled down and ran over, Noah following at his more cautious pace. Sad man. Grandma Diane is telling stories. Come listen. Marcus looked past them to Amara, who stood near the bridge stairs. Their eyes met. She didn't stop them. He sat. For one impossible hour, he was part of something he didn't deserve. Diane's voice reading about brave turtles, Lila's warm weight cuddled against his side, Noah leaning on his other arm like it was the most natural thing in the world. Late afternoon, the yacht anchored in a cove where water turned emerald against white cliffs. Most passengers and crew had scattered, swimming, resting, claiming quiet corners. Marcus sat alone on deck when Noah approached. The boy had been thinking. 4-year-olds processed things slowly, but they processed. Noah climbed onto the bench, his small face serious. Are you our daddy? Marcus's world stopped. Why do you ask that? You have Mama's sad eyes, and Grandma Diane said she's our grandma, and grandmas have sons, so that means you're somebody. Noah paused, and Lila heard the crew people talking. They said you're our daddy who went away. Marcus couldn't breathe. Would you want me to be your daddy? Noah considered this with heartbreaking gravity. Mama says our daddy loved us but couldn't stay. Did you love us? Tears came before Marcus could stop them. Yes, I didn't know about you, but yes, I love you so much. Noah's next question destroyed everything. Then why didn't you stay? Footsteps. Amara appeared. She'd heard it all from the bridge stairs. Her face was stricken. Noah ran to her. Mama, is he our daddy? She crouched, gathering both twins as Lila materialized, sensing something important was happening. Yes, baby, he is. Lila's face lit up like sunrise. Noah looked confused and hurt simultaneously. Amara glared at Marcus over their heads, her message clear as crystal. Look what you've done. Dawn painted the sky in shades of rose and gold. Amara stood at the helm, hands loose on the wheel, watching the horizon expand. She'd taken the early watch, though it wasn't hers. Ray hadn't questioned it when she'd appeared at 4:30, still wearing yesterday's clothes. She needed air, distance, space to think. The twins had finally fallen asleep around midnight, emotionally wrung out from questions she'd answered with brutal honesty. Your daddy didn't know about you. When he did find out, he was very surprised. Yes, baby, he should have stayed before. No, I don't know if he'll stay now. Lila had cried. Noah had gone quiet, processing. Both had crawled into her bed, needing her body between them and their new uncertainty. Footsteps on the bridge stairs. Ray appeared with 2 coffee mugs, steam curling in the cool morning air. He handed her one without speaking. They stood in companionable silence, watching Elba emerge from the sea ahead. "How are they?" Amara's throat tightened. Confused, excited, scared he'll disappear. All of it at once. "Yeah." Ray sipped his coffee. "And you?" She didn't answer. Couldn't. The horizon blurred and she blinked hard, refusing tears. Mid-morning brought chaos of the ordinary kind. Marcus emerged onto the main deck to find Lila and Noah with Maria near the bow, playing some elaborate game involving rope and imagination. They spotted him simultaneously. Lila's face transformed. She shrieked. Pure joy, no hesitation. "Daddy!" The word hit Marcus like a fist to the sternum. She ran, sundress flying, and launched herself at him. He caught her on instinct, crouching so the impact wouldn't hurt. Her arms locked around his neck with absolute trust. Noah approached more slowly, watching, measuring. Marcus opened one arm, tentative, an invitation, not a demand. The boy stepped in, careful, testing weight before committing. "Are you staying now?" Marcus's heart cracked. 4 years old and already protecting himself from disappointment. "I'm here for the rest of the trip. After that, I want to stay. I want to be your daddy for real, but that's up to your mama." Truth, not promises he couldn't control. Noah nodded, satisfied for now, and leaned heavier against Marcus's chest. Lila pulled back, bouncing. "Can you watch me dance? I know 3 dances." "I'd love to. And I need help with a knot," Noah added quietly. "Uncle Ray showed me, but I forgot." Each small request landed like treasure and terror combined. What if he failed? What if he was too impatient, too distracted, too much like the man who'd run before? But he sat on the deck and watched Lila spin until dizzy. He fumbled through teaching Noah a bowline, getting it wrong twice before Maria gently corrected him. The twins didn't care that he was clumsy. They cared that he was there. Diane found Amara on the bridge during lunch hour. She'd rehearsed this. Still, the words came out shaking. "I owe you an apology that's 5 years overdue." Amara turned, expression unreadable. "I raised my son to value success over people. I taught him to run." Diane's voice cracked. "And I was unspeakably rude to you without knowing. I'm so sorry." Amara's jaw tightened. "You didn't know. But yes, your son learned his values somewhere." The words were surgical. Diane flinched but held steady. "May I spend time with Lila and Noah? I've missed 4 years. I'd like to not miss more." Silence stretched. Then Amara nodded slowly. "They need family. But don't make promises you won't keep." Evening hung over Elba like velvet. The yacht rocked gently at anchor, lights from shore dancing across dark water. Dinner had been torture. Diane tried too hard, complimenting everything, asking gentle questions. Chelsea observed in silence, reading the room like she'd been trained to do. Marcus pushed food around his plate, barely tasting it. Amara hadn't attended. "Captain's duties," she'd told Ray. Both of them knew it was an excuse. Marcus found her on the bow after, standing alone against the rail, face tilted toward stars. His footsteps gave him away. "Can we talk?" Amara didn't turn. "About what?" "About what happens after this cruise." He moved closer, careful not to crowd her. "Chelsea told me about the merger closing. If I go, I'll be gone at least a week right when we dock. The twins will think I abandoned them again." Her shoulders tensed. "Then don't go. It's not that simple. If I don't go, my company loses the merger. We'll likely go under. I'll lose everything I've built." Amara turned fast, fury blazing. "Good. Maybe you should lose it. Maybe you should understand what it feels like to have your life fall apart because of someone else's choices." "Amara, no." Her voice cut like glass. "You don't get to ask me to make this easy for you. You chose that company over me once. Now you want me to tell you it's okay to choose it again?" "I was 27. The words burst out of him. "I'd just gotten the deal of a lifetime. I panicked." "You were engaged." She stepped toward him, shaking. "We made promises. You threw me away like I was nothing." "You weren't nothing." His voice cracked. "You were everything, and it terrified me." The raw honesty stopped them both. Silence rushed in, filled only by water against the hull. Amara's voice broke when she spoke again. "I was pregnant and alone. I tried to tell you. You blocked me. Do you know what that did to me? I thought I meant so little to you that you couldn't even let me speak." Marcus felt the words like blows. "I was a coward. I thought blocking you would make it hurt less. I didn't know about—" He gestured helplessly. "I would have come back if I'd known. I'd have—" "Would you?" She laughed bitterly. Or would you have resented me for trapping you? Would you have stuck around out of obligation and made us all miserable? I don't know. The admission cost him. I don't know what I would have done, but I know what I'm doing now. Footsteps on deck. Ray appeared from the shadows, his weathered face concerned. Everything okay? Amara wiped her eyes quickly. Fine, Captain Santos. Ray looked at Marcus. Maybe give the lady some space. Marcus nodded, turning to go. Then he stopped, turned back. I'm not going to New York, I'm cancelling the merger. Amara stared. What? I don't know what that means for my company, but I know what it means to walk away from you and those kids again. He met her eyes. I can't do it. Marcus, that's your entire career. Then I'll build something else. His voice was steady now. I won't lose them twice. Later that night, Amara sat in her cabin while Ray poured tea. He says he's cancelling the merger. Ray settled into the small chair. You believe him? I don't know. She stared at the sleeping twins, curled together like quotation marks. Words are easy. So you wait and see if he actually does it. What if he does and then resents us? What if he stays and it still falls apart? Ray smiled sadly. That's the risk of loving anybody. Could fall apart, or could be the best thing that ever happened. You won't know unless you're brave enough to try. I don't know if I'm that brave anymore. Ray squeezed her shoulder. You sailed through a storm yesterday without flinching. You're brave, you're just scared. Those are different things. Morning light spilled across the bridge like honey. Corsica rose ahead, still hours distant. Amara checked the instruments, made notations in the log. 6 days into this nightmare, and her hands still knew what to do even when her head spun. Footsteps on the exterior stairs. Light ones. Chelsea appeared in the doorway, sundress replaced by jeans and a simple shirt. No makeup, hair in a ponytail. Captain Hayes, could we talk? She glanced at the instruments. Woman to woman, not passenger to crew. Amara's spine stiffened. About what? Please. Something in Chelsea's voice, vulnerability without manipulation, made Amara nod. They stepped onto the bridge deck, wind catching their hair. Chelsea gripped the rail. I didn't know about you, about the twins, about any of it until we were already on this yacht. Amara kept her expression neutral. Okay. I'm not asking for sympathy. Chelsea turned, met her eyes. But I want you to know that when I realized what Marcus did, I saw myself clearly for the first time. Silence, except for wind and water. I've been the other woman, Chelsea continued. Not because you and Marcus were still together, but because he's never let you go. He's been in love with you this entire time, and I let myself be a placeholder because it was easier than finding something real. Amara didn't know what to say to this raw honesty. Chelsea pushed forward. I'm leaving him officially. When we dock, I'm done. She paused. And I wanted to tell you something else. The merger with my father's company. It's worth $50 million to Marcus's business. If he doesn't show up, he loses everything. His company will probably fold within 6 months. Amara's stomach dropped. Chelsea, my father is expecting him in New York. The press is ready to announce the deal. Marcus's investors are counting on this. Chelsea's voice softened. If he actually cancels it for you and those kids, it'll cost him everything he's worked for. I need you to know that. So when he does it, if he does it, you understand what he's giving up. She moved toward the stairs, then stopped. You have something I've never had. Someone who's willing to lose everything to keep you. Don't throw that away because you're scared. I've built my whole life on being scared of real connection. And look where it got me. 26 and already cynical. Then she was gone. Amara gripped the rail, processing. $50 million. Everything he's worked for. That afternoon, she watched from the bridge as Marcus sat with the twins on deck, teaching them sailing knots. No, like this. He guided Lila's small fingers. Under, over, through. It's too hard. Lila threw her rope down dramatically. Marcus retrieved it without frustration. Try again, you almost had it. Noah worked beside them, methodical and patient, tongue between his teeth in concentration. That's it, buddy. Marcus's face lit up. You got it. Diane sat nearby, watching her son father his children. Something soft in her expression. It looked like a family Marcus might actually sacrifice his empire to keep. That evening, formal dinner felt different. Marcus stood before dessert arrived. I've emailed my board and investors. I'm withdrawing from the merger. Chelsea nodded, unsurprised. Diane looked proud. Amara searched his face, hunting for resentment or regret. She found only resolution. Limestone cliffs rose like walls from turquoise water. Medieval buildings clung to the precipice, defying gravity. Marcus stood on the dock, watching the twins press their faces against the yacht's railing. "Can we go to the town, please, please, please?" He looked to Amara, who'd emerged from the bridge. "There's a toy shop. I thought, if you approve—" Amara's jaw tightened. Every instinct screamed, "No, don't let him play father, don't blur these lines." But Lila's hopeful face, Noah's quiet longing, they deserved this. "I'll come with you." Diane, descending the stairs in linen and pearls, brightened. "Oh, what a lovely—" "Just us," Amara said quietly. Understanding crossed Diane's face. She nodded, retreating. The narrow streets of Bonifacio twisted upward, medieval and steep. Lila raced ahead, Noah trailing more carefully. Marcus hovered, protective but not smothering. "Daddy, look!" Lila pointed at flowers spilling from a balcony. The word still made Marcus's breath catch. They found the toy shop tucked between a bakery and a ceramics studio. The twins pressed against the window. "One thing each," Amara said. "Something small." Inside, Lila gravitated toward a stuffed dolphin. Noah studied a wooden boat, painted blue with tiny canvas sails. "This one." He held it up to Marcus. "For my collection." "You collect boats?" "Mama gives me one every birthday. So I remember where we've been." Marcus's throat tightened. 4 boats, 4 years. At the register, Lila spotted an enormous doll in an elaborate dress. "Daddy, that one." Marcus glanced at Amara. She gave the tiniest headshake. He crouched to Lila's level. "The dolphin is perfect. We'll save the big presents for special occasions, okay?" Lila pouted but accepted it. Amara noticed he didn't make promises about later, didn't try to be the permissive parent. Lunch at a cliffside cafe. Lila's orange juice sloshed across the table. Marcus calmly mopped it up while she dissolved into apologies. "It's okay, sweetheart. Accidents happen." Noah ate his pasta methodically, watching his father with serious eyes. "And do you know how to sail?" "Not like your mama, she's the real captain." Pride flickered in Amara's chest. They looked like a family. The waiter assumed they were, bringing the twins extra bread with a conspiratorial wink. "This is what we could have had." The thought struck them simultaneously. Marcus's eyes found Amara's across the table. She looked away. Late afternoon. The walk back took them along the harbor path. Noah slipped his hand into Marcus's, then reached for Amara's. "Me too," Lila demanded the same. They walked connected, swinging the children between them. The twins shrieked with delight. Amara's hand almost brushed Marcus's across the small space between them. Almost. For one suspended moment, she let herself imagine this was real, their life, their family, their future. Then the yacht appeared ahead, the uniform she'd left hanging in her cabin. Captain Hayes, not Amara the mother, not Amara the woman who once loved this man. She released Noah's hand as they reached the gangway. "Thank you for taking them, they had fun." Her voice was professional, distant. "Amara, I have evening watch." She gathered the twins, ushering them aboard, not looking back. Marcus stood alone on the dock, still feeling the phantom warmth of his son's hand in his. Evening settled over Bonifacio, the medieval town glowing against darkening cliffs. Marcus stood at the stern rail, exhausted from the day's careful navigation of fatherhood. "We need to talk, Marcus, really talk." His mother's voice made him tense. Diane's serious conversations usually came with criticism, expectations, disappointment, but her tone was different, softer. "I've been thinking about what I taught you, about what I modeled." She sat on the bench, suddenly looking every one of her 60 years. "I owe you an apology." Marcus turned, surprised. "When your father died, I threw myself into managing your career because I didn't know how to grieve." Diane's hands twisted in her lap. "I pushed you to achieve, to succeed, to build an empire. I told you that showing emotion was weakness, that commitment could wait, that success was the measure of a man." She looked up, tears gathering. "I taught you to run, Marcus. Not explicitly, but through example. I ran from feelings into work, and you learned from me that when things get hard, when emotions get messy, you run to achievement instead of sitting with discomfort." Marcus sank onto the bench beside her, stunned. "When you broke up with Amara, I told you it was the right choice. Do you remember?" Diane's voice cracked. "I said a man with your potential couldn't be tied down by early marriage. I said there would be time for family later after you'd built something. I made you think your career was more important than love." The tears spilled over. "I robbed you of 5 years with your children, with a woman who loved you. I robbed myself of grandchildren. And I did it because I was so convinced that achievement equals happiness." She gripped his hands. "It doesn't, Marcus. I have money and status and a beautiful home, and I'm completely alone. Marcus's throat closed. He'd always blamed himself entirely, and he should, the choices were his. But his mother was right. She'd taught him that success trumped everything, that emotions were inconvenient, that family could wait until after empire building. Those children are extraordinary, Diane continued. That woman raised them alone while working her way up to captain. She did what I taught you was impossible. She chose love and built a career anyway. She's stronger than either of us. Don't make my mistakes. Diane's grip tightened. Don't teach your children that love is less important than achievement. Don't let another day pass without fighting for what actually matters. Later that night, Marcus sat on the edge of the small crew cabin bed. Lila was nearly asleep, clutching Captain the stuffed turtle. Noah's eyes were heavy but worried. Daddy, are you going away when the boat stops? Marcus's chest compressed. I have to go home, but home isn't far from where you and Mama live. I want to visit you a lot. Every weekend if Mama says yes. Would that be okay? Noah studied his face, searching for truth. Every weekend? Every weekend. I promise. The first promise he'd made to them. The weight of it was enormous. In the doorway, hidden in shadow, Amara listened. She'd heard the promise. Now she'd see if he kept it. Day 8 dawned clear and perfect. The Serendipity cut through calm Mediterranean waters, headed for Sardinia's emerald coast. Chelsea stayed in her cabin, voice low on satellite calls arranging her exit. Diane orbited the twins like a satellite herself, overcompensating, offering snacks and stories, until Amara gently suggested the children needed rest. Marcus's phone buzzed constantly. Investor fury, stock plummeting, his CFO's resignation letter. Ray watched it all from the bridge and made a decision. Tonight we eat together, he announced at lunch. Crew and passengers. It's tradition on my yacht when people are going through transitions. No one argued. Evening arrived with string lights glowing above the main deck table. Maria brought Filipino adobo alongside Italian pasta. The twins bounced in their seats, thrilled to eat with everyone. Wine loosened tongues. Ray spoke first, spinning tales of 30 years at sea, storms that nearly killed him, sunsets that made him believe in God. Maria talked about her grandmother's kitchen in Manila, how cooking connected her to home. Chelsea admitted, voice small, that she'd built her entire life around being decorative and useful to powerful men. I don't even know who I am without that. Diane's confession came next, tears threatening her careful makeup. I've been alone since my husband died. I pushed Marcus toward success because I didn't know what else to do with myself. I made achievement the only thing that mattered. Marcus spoke about building his company, the exhilaration of closing deals, the terror of quarterly reports, the 100-hour weeks that hollowed him out. I thought I was building something permanent. Turns out I was just running very expensively. Amara, Ray prompted gently. She'd been quiet, listening. Now she set down her wine glass. When the twins were born, I was alone in the delivery room. No family, no partner, just me and a midwife who kept telling me to breathe. Her voice stayed steady. They placed Lila in my arms first. She was screaming. Then Noah, so quiet I thought something was wrong, and I just cried. Because I loved them so much it terrified me, and I had no idea if I could be enough. The table went silent. I promised them I would be, that I'd work hard enough, love fiercely enough that they'd never feel the absence. She looked at Marcus then, eyes bright. And I kept that promise. After dinner, Marcus helped clear plates alongside Maria. No passenger pretense remained. He found Amara on the bridge later, plotting tomorrow's course. Day 9 arrived with unusual calm. The yacht floated off Sardinia's coast, turquoise water lapping at pristine white beaches. No tension, no drama, just lazy hours under the Mediterranean sun. Marcus spent the afternoon in shallow water with the twins, finally comfortable enough to lift them, spin them, hear their shrieks of delight without flinching. Diane taught Lila a simple card game on deck. Chelsea finished her novel, genuinely peaceful. Amara, off duty for once, found herself breathing without the constant tightness in her chest. Ray suggested they gather for sunset. Everyone assembled on the bow as the sky ignited. Orange bled into pink, streaked with gold. The twins sat wrapped in towels, drowsy from swimming. Lila's head drooped against Marcus's chest. Noah leaned into Amara's side. Diane watched them with soft eyes. Chelsea sat apart but present, no longer pretending to belong. Peace settled over the deck like the warm evening breeze. After Maria carried the sleeping twins below, Marcus and Amara remained. Everyone else had drifted away. For the first time in 5 years, they were alone without anger crackling between them. Do you remember the first time we watched a sunset together? Amara nodded. Newport Beach. You'd gotten your first investor meeting. You were so excited you couldn't sit still. You told me I was going to change the world. Marcus's voice carried the weight of memory. You believed in me before I believed in myself. I still believe you can change the world. Amara's words came soft. I just needed you to choose the right world to change. They stood close now, the space between them charged. Marcus turned to face her fully. I'm sorry for running, for blocking you, for missing 4 years, for breaking your heart. I'm so incredibly sorry, Amara. I know. He reached out slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. His hand cupped her face gently. I never stopped loving you. Not for a single day. Her breath caught. Marcus. They leaned in, inches apart. A child's scream shattered the evening. Both parents sprinted below deck. The sound came from the crew cabin. They burst through the door to find Noah sobbing, Lila trying to comfort him. Maria looked stricken. Nightmare. He dreamed Marcus left and didn't come back. Marcus dropped to his knees, gathering Noah against his chest. I'm here. I'm right here. You promised every weekend. Noah's voice broke. You promised. I won't break it. I swear. But Noah couldn't stop crying. 4-year-old terror too big for his small body. Lila started crying too, the fear contagious. Amara took Lila, murmuring comfort, but her eyes found Marcus's over the children's heads. The doubt rushed back in like a riptide. Morning arrived brittle and wrong. Day 10, their last full day before Monaco. Noah shadowed Marcus everywhere, small hand gripping his father's shirt. Where are you going? Every time Marcus shifted, every time he stood. Just to get coffee, buddy. Can I come? Lila watched from Maria's lap, unnaturally quiet, reading the room the way perceptive children do. Amara had rebuilt every wall. Captain Hayes again, crisp uniform, professional nods, eyes that skated past Marcus without landing. The sunset might never have happened. Chelsea kept to her cabin, packing slowly, recognizing wreckage when she saw it. Diane tried hovering near the twins, but sensed she was in the way. Mid-morning, Marcus passed the galley. Voices drifted through the partially open door. Captain Hayes is crazy if she lets him back in. One of the deckhands. Rich guys don't change. He'll visit a month, maybe 2. Novelty wears off. He's gone again. Those kids are going to be devastated. Noah already knows. The other voice, bitter with certainty. Smart kid. Sees what's coming. Marcus stopped breathing. They were right to doubt him. He had nothing but words. Empty promises against 4 years of absence. He found Amara on the bridge after lunch, running departure checks. About last night. Nothing happened last night. Ice in every syllable. We watched a sunset. That's all. That's not... We were going to... She whirled on him. What? Kiss? Fall back into each other? Then what, Marcus? You return to your life? I return to mine. We coordinate custody schedules? Her control shattered. You make promises about weekends, but you don't have a plan. You have no idea what being a parent actually means when it's not a luxury yacht vacation. Amara, when it's 2 a.m. and Noah has a fever, when it's every single day, not the highlight reel, her voice cracked. You've been playing father for 9 days. I've been doing this for 4 years. Alone. While you built your empire, I changed diapers and worked double shifts and cried in the shower because I was so tired, so scared I wasn't enough for them. Marcus reached for her. She stepped back. Don't. Ray appeared in the bridge doorway, authority radiating from his weathered frame. Captain Hayes, you have watch in an hour. His eyes found Marcus. Mr. Laurent, I think you should give the captain space. Marcus saw it then. Amara's walls rebuilt completely, impenetrable. He retreated. Chelsea was packing when he entered their cabin. One look at his face told her everything. What happened? Marcus collapsed onto the bed. She doesn't trust me. And she's right. He pressed his palms against his eyes. I cancelled the merger, but I have no idea how to actually be a father when we're not on a ship. No idea how this works in real life. Chelsea sat beside him, her expression softer than he'd seen in days. So, figure it out. You have until tomorrow morning. She handed him the notepad from the desk. Make a plan, a real one, with specifics. Show her you're serious. Dinner came and went. Marcus didn't appear. The twins asked where Daddy was. He's resting, baby. Amara's relief was palpable. She couldn't look at him without seeing both futures. The father her children desperately needed, and the man who'd already broken her once. In his cabin, Marcus filled pages, writing, calculating, planning, building something real. Dawn broke over Monaco harbor, soft and final. Day 11. The yacht bristled with departure energy. Passengers zipping luggage, crew stripping linens, the particular melancholy that follows 10 days of forced intimacy. Marcus hadn't slept. Chelsea found him at the desk in their cabin, surrounded by pages of notes and calculations, eyes red-rimmed. "Did you sleep at all?" "Couldn't. Too much to figure out." She studied the papers. Spreadsheets, addresses, school websites, apartment listings. "Is this a plan? For visitation, co-parenting, what my life looks like now?" He rubbed his face. "Want to hear it?" Chelsea sat. Marcus walked her through it, selling the San Francisco headquarters, moving operations to Nice, wherever Amara was based permanently, hiring a CEO for daily management while he stepped into a board role. His reduced income, calculated precisely, enough to support the twins fully while rebuilding. The apartment he'd found online, modest, 20 minutes from Amara's home port, schools he'd researched, a schedule he'd drafted, weekends, holidays, summers negotiable. Chelsea's eyebrows rose. "This is real. You actually figured it out." Words aren't enough. She needs concrete plans. They docked mid-morning. Monaco gleamed, indifferent to personal drama. Diane hugged Marcus on the deck, fierce and unexpected. "Don't lose them again. I'll help however I can. I have a cottage near Nice. When you visit, it's yours." Chelsea cornered Amara near the gangway, extended her hand. "Thank you for your patience. I'm sorry for my part in this mess." Amara shook it, surprised by the warmth. Then Chelsea turned to Marcus, kissed his cheek. "Good luck. You'll need it, but I think you'll be okay." She descended the gangway toward her father's waiting car, sunglasses on, shoulders back. The twins materialized, confused by the flurry of goodbyes. Lila tugged Marcus's sleeve. "Why is everyone leaving?" Noah's face crumpled with returning fear. "Is Daddy leaving too?" Marcus crouched eye level. "I'm leaving the boat, but not you. Remember my promise? Every weekend. I meant it." "But where do you live?" "I'm going to find a house near where you and Mama live so I can visit a lot." Amara froze mid-checklist, stared at him. Noah's voice trembled with hope. "Really? Close to us?" Marcus met Amara's eyes over the children's heads. "Really? I'll talk to Mama this week about details, but I'm not disappearing, I promise." Ray watched this exchange from the bridge stairs. As Marcus hefted his luggage, Ray intercepted him at the gangway. "Mr. Laurent," his voice carried the weight of 30 years at sea. "You hurt her once. If you hurt those kids, I won't be so polite." "Not a threat. A fact." Marcus nodded. "I understand. I won't." He walked down to the dock, turned back once. Amara stood at the rail, holding both twins, watching him leave. The fear in her eyes mirrored Noah's nightmare. Evening found Amara in her modest apartment. 2 bedrooms, 3rd floor, view of the harbor if you leaned out the window. The twins sprawled on the living room floor, exhausted. Lila chattered endlessly. "Daddy's funny. He can't tie knots good, but he's learning. Grandma Diane smells like flowers. Can we see them again?" Noah drew boats in careful crayon strokes. Quiet. Amara's phone rang. Marcus's name on the screen. She almost didn't answer. Finally, "Hello? I'm not doing this over the phone." His voice was steady. "But I need you to know I'm serious. I spent last night making a plan. Can I meet you tomorrow, show you what I've worked out?" Her defenses slammed back up. "Marcus, 1 hour. Just give me 1 hour tomorrow to show you I'm not running. Please." She was so tired of fighting. "Fine. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., the cafe near the marina." She hung up before he could say more, staring at the phone, terrified to hope. The cafe near the marina smelled of espresso and sea salt. Amara arrived precisely at 2 p.m. to find Marcus already there, folder centered on the table like evidence at trial. He looked nervous. Good. He should be. She ordered coffee, sat across from him, arms crossed. "You said you have a plan. I'm listening." Marcus opened the folder. For 30 minutes he walked her through everything. The apartment offer in Villefranche-sur-Mer, 15 minutes from her home port, 2 bedrooms, already inspected. His transition from CEO to board chairman, 70% pay cut in exchange for schedule flexibility. The trust fund he'd established for the twins, contributions automated monthly. The international school research, they'd be eligible in 2 years when they turned 6. The proposed visitation schedule, every weekend alternating holidays adjustable around her work rotations. Amara listened, stone-faced. Internally she was reeling. This was detailed. This was real. Marcus slid a document across the table. I had a lawyer draft this. Co-parenting agreement. You have full custody. I'm not fighting that, but it outlines my visitation rights and financial responsibilities. I want it legal, so you know I'm committed. Amara stared at the pages. You did all this in 2 days? I've been thinking about it since Portofino. Since the day I realized they were mine, I finally put it on paper. She was quiet for a long moment, coffee cooling between them. This is a good plan, Marcus, thorough, more than I expected. His hope flared. So you'll... But it's still just paper. Her voice cut clean. You've made promises before. You promised to marry me, remember? How do I know this is different? Marcus had expected this, prepared for it. You don't. I can't prove it until I actually do it. He leaned forward. But I'm asking you to let me try. Let me show up this weekend, and the next, and the one after that. If I fail, if I miss even one without genuine emergency, you have every right to cut me off. But give me the chance to prove I've changed. Amara's hands tightened around her cup, terrified. And what about us? The question hung between them like something fragile. Marcus took a careful breath. I love you. I never stopped. But I know I don't have the right to ask for that yet. I'm asking to be a father first, to earn your trust as a co-parent. Everything else, we can figure out if and when you're ready. It was the right answer. If he'd pushed for romantic reunion, she'd have refused everything. Amara closed the folder. Okay, this weekend, Saturday morning, you can take them to the beach for 4 hours. I'll supervise from a distance. A test. They both knew it. Marcus stood, resisting the urge to reach for her. Thank you. I won't let them down. He left. Amara sat alone, folder centered where he'd placed it. She pulled out her phone, dialed Ray. He has a plan, a real one. And I'm terrified it's going to work. Her voice cracked slightly. Because if it works, I'll have to deal with the fact that I still love him. Ray chuckled, warm through the speaker. That's the thing about love, Amara. Doesn't go away just because someone hurt you. You just decide if the risk is worth it. That evening, the twins sprawled on the living room rug with crayons. Amara crouched beside them. Daddy's coming Saturday to take you to the beach. Lila shrieked, scrambled upright. Really? Can we build sandcastles? Noah looked up slowly, hope and fear warring in his blue eyes. Will he really come? Amara wanted to lie, to protect him from potential disappointment. Instead, she told the truth. I hope so, baby. We'll see. Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Marcus knocked on Amara's door exactly on time, arms loaded with beach toys, sunscreen, a cooler of snacks. He'd thought of everything. The twins exploded with excitement when they saw him. Lila launched herself at his legs. Noah hung back just a moment before joining. Amara handed over carefully printed instructions, designated swim area boundaries, life jackets mandatory, text updates every hour. Marcus agreed to everything, nodding seriously like she was briefing him on $1 million contract. She followed them to the beach, brought a book she never opened, watching instead from her blanket 30 yards away. Marcus built sandcastles with Lila's dramatic architectural direction, taught Noah to skip stones, crouching beside him to demonstrate the wrist flick. When Lila scraped her knee, Marcus cleaned it without panic, applied a cartoon bandage from the first aid kit he'd packed. 4 hours. He returned them on time, sandy and happy and exhausted. Thank you, he said at her door. Same time next week? She nodded. 1 weekend down. The weekends continued. Week 2. Aquarium visit. Marcus texted photos throughout. Lila pressed against the shark tank glass, Noah mesmerized by jellyfish. Week 3. Diane drove down from Nice. 3 generations shared lunch at a harbor cafe, Diane glowing as the twins called her grandma without prompting. Week 4. Rain trapped them inside. Marcus came to Amara's apartment anyway. They watched movies in her small living room, awkwardly sharing space, passing popcorn, pretending the proximity didn't mean anything. Week 6 changed everything. Noah woke Saturday morning burning with fever. Amara texted Marcus, "Can we reschedule? Noah's sick." His response came immediately, "Can I come anyway? Not to take them out, to help." She'd been up all night with Noah's fever. Exhaustion overrode pride. Fine, come. Marcus arrived with soup, children's medicine, activities for Lila. He sat with Noah, reading stories in soft voices, while Amara collapsed into her bedroom. She slept 2 hours. First real sleep in 36. When she emerged, the apartment was clean. Lila worked puzzles quietly at the table. Marcus dozed on the couch with Noah asleep on his chest, small hand clutching his father's shirt. Amara stood in the doorway watching. He'd stayed for the hard part, the unglamorous, difficult, ordinary part. Her walls cracked. Routine developed. Marcus was consistent, never late, always prepared. Constant communication about schedules, preferences, fears. Noah's nightmares. Lila's stubbornness about vegetables. By week 8, he'd moved into the Villefranche apartment. He invited them to see it, small but cheerful, with a bedroom already set up, bunk beds in the twins' favorite colors, shelves waiting for their books. Lila declared it perfect. Noah asked quietly, "Can we stay here sometimes?" He looked to Amara for permission. She nodded slowly. "We can try." 3 months after the yacht charter, mid-fall, Amara and Marcus sat on her balcony after the twins' bedtime. A habit now, these brief conversations that sometimes drifted beyond co-parenting logistics. "Company sold," Marcus mentioned. 20 million, not 50, but it cleared investors, left me stable. Amara smiled. "So you didn't lose everything?" Marcus looked at her seriously. "I lost 5 years. That's everything that mattered. But I'm trying to make the rest count." They sat close, evening air cooling around them. Amara took a breath. "I don't hate you anymore. Not love, not yet, but something." Marcus's eyes closed briefly in relief. "That's more than I deserve." Late November, Thanksgiving week. Diane's voice came through Marcus's phone, bright and determined. "I'm hosting Thanksgiving at the cottage. I want Amara and the children there. A proper family holiday." Marcus's stomach dropped. "Mum, I don't know if—" "Ask her. The worst she can say is no." He expected resistance. Expected Amara to find reasons why Thanksgiving was too much too soon. Instead, she surprised him. The twins should know their grandmother, and Ray's doing Thanksgiving with his crew in Marseille, so we're free. The day arrived cold and clear. Amara drove the twins up the winding coastal road to Diane's cottage, creamstone and blue shutters overlooking the Mediterranean. Marcus waited on the terrace, hands in his pockets, radiating nervous energy. Diane had transformed the place. Traditional American spread prepared by a private chef, fall decorations that somehow worked in the French countryside, a kids' table set with coloring supplies. The twins loved it immediately. "Grandma, is this really your house?" Lila spun in circles on the terrace. Diane crouched to her level, genuine warmth in her eyes. "It is, and you're welcome here any time." The meal was lovely, shockingly so. Diane had worked on herself these past months. Amara could see it. No overstepping boundaries, no dismissive comments, just a grandmother learning how to be present. She'd brought gifts, sailing books for Noah, a serious art set for Lila, things that showed she'd been paying attention, not just buying expensive trinkets. Over turkey and stuffing, Diane told stories about Marcus as a boy, how he'd once tried to build a boat out of cardboard boxes, how he'd cried at the aquarium because he wanted to free all the fish. Amara watched Marcus blush, saw him through his mother's eyes, not the man who'd abandoned her, but someone who'd been a dreaming child once. After dinner, while the twins played in the garden, the 3 adults sat with wine on the terrace. The Mediterranean stretched below, endless blue. Diane turned to Amara, voice quiet. "I was wrong about so many things, about what matters, about what makes a good life. Thank you for giving us this chance." Amara's throat tightened. "You're their grandmother. They need family. Still, you didn't have to forgive either of us." Driving home that evening, twins asleep in the back seat, Amara realized the day had felt normal, good even, natural. Something shifted after Thanksgiving. Marcus had been present for 4 months. Not perfect, but consistent. Never late, never flaking, never making promises he couldn't keep. He'd proven he wouldn't run. Amara found herself thinking about him more, remembering the good parts, how he'd made her laugh in grad school, how he'd looked at her like she was the only person in the room, how safe she'd felt in his arms, wondering if maybe she caught herself mid-thought and shut it down. During a charter planning meeting with Ray, she couldn't hide her distraction. "What's on your mind?" Ray set down his coffee, giving her his full attention. "Marcus he's been good, really good. With the twins, with boundaries, with everything." She twisted her hands together. "And I keep thinking, what if we tried again? What if there's still something there?" "Is there?" "Yes." The admission escaped before she could stop it. "But what if we try and it fails? The twins are attached now, it would destroy them." Ray leaned back, considering. "What if you don't try and you miss out on something real? That would destroy them too. And you." They'd grow up watching you both love each other from a distance, too scared to risk it. That's not a better lesson. Early December, Marcus arrived for his weekend pickup. Amara was dressed nicer than usual. She had a work commitment. There's a maritime professionals gala tonight. I usually skip it, but Ray thinks I should network more. Marcus didn't hesitate. I'll watch them overnight. You go. Amara blinked. Overnight was a big step. Are you sure? Completely. We'll do dinner, movie, bedtime. I'll have them back tomorrow by noon. That evening, Amara stood in the gala venue wearing a dress she'd bought years ago and never worn, feeling awkward among yacht owners and industry executives. Her phone buzzed. A photo. The twins in pajamas covered in popcorn grinning at the camera. She smiled despite herself. Another text came through. You look beautiful. Have fun. She hadn't told him about the gala. He must have seen it on the shared calendar she'd started keeping for the twins' schedule. The thoughtfulness caught her off guard. The way he paid attention to small things now. The way he showed up consistently. For the first time in 5 years, standing in that crowded room full of strangers, she let herself think, maybe we could try. Mid-December. The twins vibrated with Christmas excitement, dragging Amara through markets to stare at decorations, making elaborate wish lists that changed daily. Marcus had asked tentatively if he could be part of Christmas morning, not taking over, just being present. Amara agreed. Her defenses had lowered significantly over 4 months of consistent weekends, sick days, bedtime routines. Christmas morning arrived. Marcus showed up at 7. The twins had woken everyone at 6, shrieking about presents. He carried a modest stack of wrapped gifts, nothing extravagant. Amara let him in, still in her pajamas, hair loose around her shoulders. "Daddy!" Lila launched herself at him. Noah followed, more reserved but smiling. They settled in Amara's tiny living room, wrapping paper soon covering every surface. Lila unwrapped art supplies, quality ones, the set she'd mentioned wanting weeks ago. Noah discovered marine biology books, his eyes going wide. "Like Mama studied," Marcus said quietly. Amara's throat tightened. He'd been paying attention. Marcus pulled out a small wrapped box, hesitant. "This is for you. You didn't have to." "I wanted to." Inside lay a silver bracelet, delicate, with a small compass charm. Simple, appropriate, perfect. "So you always find your way home," Marcus said. Amara's vision blurred. "Thank you." The twins insisted Marcus stay for breakfast, Amara's tradition of chocolate chip pancakes. He flipped them while she set the table, their rhythm easy and domestic. They spent the morning as a family unit, the twins showing off their gifts, demanding Marcus help build Lila's new art easel. Late morning, Diane called. "May I stop by briefly? I have gifts for the children." Amara agreed. Diane arrived with wrapped presents and tears in her eyes, seeing them all together in Amara's modest apartment. She stayed an hour, respectful of boundaries, playing with the twins before kissing them goodbye. "Thank you," she whispered to Amara, "for this." After she left, the twins crashed hard, exhausted from excitement. They fell asleep mid-afternoon in their room, surrounded by new toys. Marcus should leave. Instead, Amara asked quietly, "Want some coffee?" They sat on her small balcony in the winter sun, mugs warming their hands. For the first time in 5 years, they talked like they used to, about everything and nothing. Marcus described his consulting work, helping startups avoid his mistakes. Amara detailed her new captain certification. They laughed about Lila's theatrical declarations and Noah's impossibly serious questions about whale migration. Then Marcus set down his mug, careful. "I know we're co-parenting, and I know that's all you agreed to. But Amara, I need you to know I'm still in love with you. I have been this entire time," her heart hammered. "I'm not asking you to feel the same way," he continued. "I just needed to say it, so you know that when you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'm here, not just as their father, as the man who never stopped loving you." A few days later, midweek, Ray had agreed to watch the twins for the evening. No questions asked, just a knowing smile. Amara and Marcus met at a small restaurant overlooking the harbor, the kind of place they'd gone when they were first dating. Both arrived early. Both were nervous. They ordered, made small talk about the twins, the weather, Diane's upcoming visit. Then Amara set down her wineglass and took a breath. "I asked you to dinner because we need to talk about what happens next. Not with the twins, that's working. With us." Marcus went still, waiting. "You've been here for 6 months now. You've been consistent, present, everything you promised. You've earned my trust back as a father." Amara paused, gathering courage. "But Marcus, Being a partner is different than being a co-parent. If we try this and it fails, it affects the twins now, not just us. Marcus nodded slowly. I know, that's why I haven't pushed, I need you to be sure. Amara looked at him across the table, really looked at him. 6 months of showing up had changed his face somehow. Less haunted, more grounded. I'm not sure, she admitted. I don't know if I'll ever be completely sure, but I know that I wake up looking forward to your texts. I know that when you leave, the apartment feels emptier. I know that the twins are happier with you in their lives, and so am I. Her voice dropped. I know that I'm tired of being scared. Marcus reached across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand. What are you saying? Amara finally let herself say it. I'm saying I want to try. Slowly. Carefully. With full transparency and lots of communication. I'm saying I might still love you and I'm terrified of that. But I'm more terrified of not trying and spending the rest of my life wondering what if. Marcus was crying, silent tears running down his face. I won't mess this up again, I swear to you. Amara reached across the table and took his hand. You might. I might. That's what trying means. But Marcus, if you ever run again, if you ever block me out or disappear when things get hard, we're done. Forever. I won't do that again, and I won't let the twins experience that. Marcus gripped her hand. I won't run. I promise. I spent 5 years running and it was the worst mistake of my life. I'm done running. They sat holding hands across the table, both crying a little, both terrified and hopeful. This was the beginning they should have had 5 years ago. But life didn't work that way. You worked with the beginning you got. 6 months later, early summer. Amara's apartment had slowly accumulated Marcus's things. A toothbrush in the bathroom, clothes in the closet, his laptop perpetually charging on the kitchen counter. He was there most nights now, though he maintained his own apartment still. Neither wanted to rush. The twins called him Daddy, naturally, unself-consciously. Diane visited monthly, a devoted grandmother who'd transformed from the cold woman she'd been. This particular morning, Amara stood on the deck of a new yacht, the Second Chance, a 60-foot vessel she and Marcus had purchased together. Marcus invested, she captained. It was the start of charter season, and Ray was joining her crew as mentor for her first season as owner-operator. Marcus stood on deck with the twins, who were helping, mostly getting in the way. Lila attempted to coil rope with enthusiastic incompetence, while Noah carefully polished a rail that didn't need polishing. This was the life they'd built. Messy, imperfect, real. They fought sometimes. Amara hated that Marcus still checked his phone too much. Marcus wished Amara would accept more help with the business side, but they worked through it because neither was willing to lose this again. The season opening was a small celebration. Ray, Maria, Diane, a few close friends. Chelsea had sent a gift and a note. So proud of both of you for figuring it out. Proof that second chances can work. That evening, after the twins were asleep in the captain's quarters, Amara and Marcus stood on the deck of their yacht, watching stars emerge over the Mediterranean. You know what today is? Marcus asked. Amara thought. June 15th. Why? 6 months since our dinner, since you said you wanted to try. Amara leaned into him. Best decision I've made in years. Second best. Letting you back on that yacht last summer. Marcus laughed. Worst decision I made. Breaking up with you. Best decision, cancelling that merger. They were quiet for a moment, comfortable in the silence. Then Marcus said, I know we're taking things slow, but I need to ask you something. He was nervous, and Amara tensed slightly. What? Marcus took a breath. Will you marry me? Not now. Not until you're ready. Maybe not for years, but someday when you're ready. When you trust that I'm never leaving again. Will you marry me? It was the most vulnerable he'd ever been. Amara was quiet for a long moment. Then, ask me in a year. If we make it a full year without any major disasters, ask me again and I'll say yes. Marcus grinned. A year. I can wait a year. Later, they checked on the twins together. Lila sprawled dramatically across her bed, Noah curled in a tight ball. They're perfect, Marcus whispered. Amara nodded. They are. We made something good. Marcus corrected her gently. You made something good. I'm just grateful you let me be part of it. Amara looked at him. We're making it together now, that's what matters. 1 year later, early summer again, the Second Chance was booked solid for the season. Amara's reputation as a captain had only grown, and the yacht was in high demand. Today was a personal charter, though. Just family. Marcus, Amara, the twins, now 6, Diane, Ray, Maria, and Chelsea, flying in from New York, where she'd built a successful PR firm representing ethical companies. They were celebrating two things, Lila and Noah's 6th birthday and something else. The yacht was decorated with balloons and streamers. Lila had insisted on purple, Noah wanted blue. They'd compromised with both. The day was perfect. Swimming, cake, presents, laughter. As evening approached and the twins were happily exhausted, Marcus asked for everyone's attention. He'd promised to ask again in a year. He was a man of his word now. In front of everyone they loved, on the deck of the yacht that represented their second chance, Marcus dropped to one knee. "A year ago, I asked if you'd marry me someday. You said to ask again in a year if we made it without disasters." Amara's hand went to her mouth. "We made it. We've had fights and challenges and hard days, but we made it. Amara Hayes, captain of my heart, mother of my children, love of my life. Will you marry me?" Amara was crying, laughing, nodding. "Yes." 1,000 times yes. The ring was beautiful, simple, like her style. One diamond with 2 smaller stones flanking it. "The big one is for you. The small ones are for Lila and Noah. We're all in this together." The twins shrieked with excitement. Marcus had asked their permission first, very seriously. They'd enthusiastically approved. Diane was crying happy tears. Ray was grinning, satisfied that his faith in both of them was warranted. Chelsea was filming the whole thing, laughing. Maria wiped her eyes. This was family, chosen and built and fought for. Later, after everyone had celebrated and the twins were asleep, Marcus and Amara stood at the bow, exactly where they'd almost kissed 2 years ago before Noah's nightmare interrupted them. "Different ending this time," Marcus said. Amara smiled. "Better ending. We earned this one." The yacht was anchored in a quiet cove off the coast, where their story nearly ended 2 years ago. Inside, the twins were asleep, dreaming of cake and balloons. Diane was in a guest cabin already planning the wedding. Ray and Maria were in crew quarters, satisfied. Chelsea was on the aft deck, on a call with her own new boyfriend, happy and whole in ways she wasn't 2 years ago. And at the bow, Marcus and Amara were wrapped in each other, watching stars reflect off calm water. "I love you," Marcus said. "I never stopped, but now I get to say it every day for the rest of our lives." Amara kissed him. "I love you too. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for staying." The second chance rocked gently in the waves, carrying them all toward whatever came next. Together.